Hey, how's it going? This is Alex with the Casual Flex. Welcoming you back to technically our first episode, because the first recording was really kind of explaining how the Casual Flex, what it meant. And just in a brief version of what we do here, or the goal is for us to support each other in our individual goals. Um, there may be something in the back of your mind that's been sitting there for 5, 10, 15, 20 years that you've been wanting to do. And for one reason or another, you haven't had it done, various reasons. And some of the stuff is because you've gotten little to no support for it. So you just left it alone. Well, we're here to be that support for you. And I'm going to start off with some of the things that I've been going through that I'm currently trying to work towards. Um, and I'm looking for support from you guys. Whether it be, have you been through this, or you're thinking about doing the same thing? We can work through it together. Any advice that you have, or something that you ran into, any kind of issues that we can help each other with. That's what we want to do as a community on this page. Okay, so on this show, that's what we're working on. Is to work together to be our own support for our individual goals. What has been sitting on your mind to do, not anybody else's. This is not about a family project. This is not about, you know, your significant other or your kids or anything. This is about what you've been wanting to do. Now it may benefit them, but this is not what this is about. This is what obviously has been sitting on your mind for a long period of time for a reason. So this is what we're here for. Okay, so stay tuned for that. I'm just going to give you a little brief rundown on some of the things that I'm currently working on that I've been thinking about doing for a long time. And so we're going to try and help each other out through this. One is obviously this podcast. I just started doing a podcast about 6 months ago with a friend of mine. It's called the NFL Weekly with TNA. You can find it on Spotify and YouTube and any of those. Something we started. We're trying to get, since it's two of us, it's kind of hard because, when somebody's gone and the other one. So we've been learning on that, but this one's just me. And this one's just, like I said, has to do with me and my goals and something that's been on my mind to get done for me. So, with that being said, on these next things, the podcast, I'm looking to buy a house. I really want a motorcycle. With all of these things, everybody kind of fell into wouldn't, couldn't, shouldn't kind of categories. Uh, when it came to the podcast, there have been people that sit there and say you should do that, but sometimes they do a little. They had that little twist that's kind of more of a negative thing than anything else. Like they say, you should do that, you should try that, but man, that's a lot of stuff that you got to do. It's a lot of time you have to commit, and they start sprinkling in a little negativity. Now, I don't mind somebody telling me what some of the obstacles are out there, but also, can you provide some insight or maybe an option on how to deal with that? Whatever that circumstance is. That's what I would like from my my inner circle per se. Sometimes these things are not popular with them, and like I said, various reasons, out of love, they just don't want to see you fail, they don't want to see you struggle, whatever their reasons are, or it's not something they like. So you got to look at that. Sometimes their negativity is based on their decision making on why they didn't do it. Okay, so we're not going to focus in on that. We're going to focus in on what we want to do as an individual, and we're going to help each other get to that, hit that goal. And once we hit that goal, that's the casual flex. It's not to throw it in anybody's face, because remember, this is just for us. But it's like that feeling like, yeah, I did this. This is something I wanted to do and I did it. That's the casual flex. So, like I said, the first thing we're going to talk about is the podcast. A lot of people like, you should, but they kind of did that, like that backhanded kind of negativity towards the end. Or they said you wouldn't do it. They didn't have any belief that I would make the time to do this. And shouldn't do it. They were like, you don't have the time. You don't have the money for the equipment. And where are you going to get all of this stuff? And it's a bunch of time and you're not going to make any money off of it. You get that. right? The next thing I want to do is I'm currently actively looking into buying a house. Now I'm a single parent, but my baby just turned 18. She's going to college, so this is really just for me. So the people out there are like, you shouldn't do this. I mean, you don't have you could go anywhere. You can just get an apartment and travel and not spend this money or whatever. They have their reasons for telling me I shouldn't do it. I don't. I feel like I should. Um, wouldn't. There's some people out there that just believe I wouldn't do it. I said I was going to do it, and they were like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good idea." But that look. They're not. They're not really thinking you're going to do anything. They just think, yeah, that's just him talking. Even though God has always blessed me in doing what I have to do and doing the goal and achieving the goals I want. That's a fact. So, with that being said, we're going to press forward. Um, and couldn't do it. You can't afford it. Where are you going to get the down payment with this economy? Do you really want to take on a larger payment, or having all of this stuff? You're going to have no flexibility if you lose your job. Where are you going to go? How are you going to handle that? So there's a lot of that going on. Third thing we're going to talk about is I really want a motorcycle. I used to have a motorcycle. I haven't ridden a motorcycle in over 20 years, mainly because I had kids, and I was pretty much told, hey, you got to raise these kids first before you go and try and get yourself killed. So I did that. But now I want to go back to riding. I loved riding motorcycles, and I want to go back to that. But a lot of people, like I said, the should, wouldn't, couldn't. Some people think you can't. They're gonna be like, well, it's expensive, and believe me, a lot of people look at a $10,000 bike and they're like, that's not that expensive. It adds up. It adds up because the equipment alone is gonna be, just a helmet. Average helmet costs $500, and that's just one thing. I mean, you got jacket, pants, shoes, gloves. Gloves, average decent gloves is like $100. So nothing on this, and I'm not talking about racing. I'm not talking about riding on tracks. I'm not talking about dirt roads. I'm talking about regular roads to protect yourself with the right kind of equipment. And at my age, you know, that's important to me. When I was 20, I didn't think nothing was gonna happen to me. So I could have went out there just t-shirts and flip-flops. Been perfectly fine. Nothing's gonna happen. Yeah, I've seen things happen. So now I know there's stuff that happens. So we're gonna get some of that equipment. So these are some of the things we're gonna talk about and delve more deeply into. So there'll be another show just talking about the house, and another show talking about just the bike, and another show talking about just the podcast. And as you start hearing these things, if you have some kind of input, advice, things like that, what I should or shouldn't do, how I should or shouldn't get things completed. Sorry about that, man. See, this is part of the thing. My screens went out, and I don't have any of the equipment. I don't have the lighting. I don't have none of that stuff. So I'm kind of using this as my lighting. So I apologize for that. But part of the learning curve. We're gonna get through this together. We're gonna learn and we're gonna grow together. So hit that like, hit the subscribe, hit the notification button, because I'm trying to I'm going to do one a week. I'm trying to get to at least two a week, though. That's my goal, is to do two a week. I'm going to hit one a week, but we're going to try and do two a week. So you get the notification as soon as something uploads, you'll be the first to know. And I really want your input on what you went through. And like I said, these are just three of the topics. We're going to talk about whatever's going through your mind. You may want start a business, or have kids, or adopt, or whatever the situation may be. There are people out there that aren't married and they want to have kids, but what are they going to do? Are they going to are they going to adopt? Are they going to get artificially inseminated? There's so many different things. What's the process? And so we're going to sit in here, we're going to talk about how to make your goals happen. you know, what we can come up with. Maybe me doing some research, me talking to some people that have been through your particular situation, other people in this group doing the same thing. So when we come back on here, hey, you know, uh, this is what I found out. This is some of the things I've seen. Have you checked this? Have you checked that? And we can go back and forth on the comments. Uh, and then we're going to morph this show into something. I don't know what it is yet, but into something where it's us building each other up so we can all get that casual flex where we hit that goal that's been sitting in in our hearts and our soul to get to. We're going to see about getting it done together. All right. Again, my name's Alex. Appreciate you guys listening. Hit the like and subscribe. We'll talk soon. Have a good one.